I think like with development, part of the problem is you got the Boston Redevelopment Authority. They're not listening to us, the people. All right? I think that this authority, right, is the most undemocratic, right, bureaucratic piece of government. And we need to get rid of it. Right? And I feel that very strong about that. And I think that we're not listening to the people. I think that we're not taking into account what neighbors are saying, right, about what's going to be built next door or down the street. I think what's happening is you have the BRA unilaterally making decisions without asking us and deciding what's going to get built. So I would try to eliminate them. Thank you.
Last session in the state Senate, I was fortunate to work on foreclosures. There actually is into the legislature that was signed last August by the governor, a 180-day kind of moratorium that foreclosures cannot be, foreclosures will not occur. It does give the homeowners 180 days to try to fix what's going on with their mortgage and try to pay. I think one of the biggest problems that you have is that a lot of homeowners do not know that that exists. They get a letter from the bank that says your house is in foreclosure and they don't know where to turn. I dealt with this on a regular basis. One of the biggest things that we can do is really highlight where we can go for help. Resources, I know the Boston Home Center has resources, but a lot of our constituents do not know where those resources are at. In order to deal with the foreclosure problem, it's kind of twofold. In economic development, people need jobs, and we also need to make sure that they have access to the information about foreclosure help. Problem properties. First off, the City of Boston has done, city councilors have done a great job recently in attacking this problem. I definitely wholeheartedly agree with them that they do need to walk out to the streets and see what's going on. And as far as the repair, sometimes or most times, a lot of these problem properties, the homeowner does not live there. Because the homeowner does not live there, they really don't know the condition of their property. So you can give them the first nudge to fix it. If they don't have access to fix it, probably one good suggestion would be to create a low to no interest rate for homeowners to tap into to help build up their community by making sure that their property looks the way it should look. Trash. I see this a lot, and I'm one of the people. My grandfather used to walk up and down Wellington Hill Street and pick up trash when I was younger, and it used to be very embarrassing. But as I got older, I realized the value of it. In front of my house, we sometimes may have trash out in front of the neighbor's house. We make it a point to pick up trash. It is very important for you to take pride in your community. And that's the biggest way that you will make sure that your community always stays the way it should. And also, I think that when it comes to trash day, we need to be very clear about what needs to go in there. I've seen trash get thrown into the trucks and trash on the street, and they just keep going. And it's still our responsibility to go and pick it up. So I think for cleanliness, it's going to be a community process, and we need to figure out a way that we can all get together and make sure that it does look nice.
So the last part of this is the development process, and how do you think you would assure residents that their concerns will be taken seriously throughout the process, and would you negotiate community benefit packages?
I definitely would negotiate community benefit packages. For the last 2.5 years sitting inside the community meetings, I know the value firsthand of what it means to have the community input, because they're the ones who have to deal with it. You're going to have general contractors that come in and are going to make the money off of it, and then they disappear. It is our job as community residents to really make sure that whatever is done in our community is something that we actually want in our community, that is going to strengthen our communities. We don't want to just have people come in and do what they want to do and then leave, and then we're stuck trying to deal with it. So I definitely believe that we should negotiate those into any contract in the community when they think about building something in the community, that the community is at the table.
Thank you. Would you pass the mic?
Foreclosures. I think first off, that's another education piece. I think that with people that are having difficulty with their mortgages. There is help out there, and people don't understand that. So I think as a city councillor, it would be up to me, or whoever becomes a city councillor, to have informational sessions, you know, maybe here or whatever. You target the area where the problem is the worst, and then you'd have seminars and connect people to the banks that they need to talk to and the right people they need to talk to. It's education. And if somebody can get a mortgage modification, it may change their whole life.
Okay, next, problem properties.
Problem properties, I believe the city is taking the right steps on the landlord side of the problem properties. But also there's a flip side of that. There's the problem tenants. And having some experience with problem tenants, it may take a year to get someone out of the property, going through housing court and the different things that the landlord has to do. And as a small property owner, you could have one person in your 3-decker that could make you need to go get a mortgage modification because they're not paying their rent, because the once you go to housing court, they're basically allowed to not pay rent for however long it is. Normally it's up to a year. There was another point I wanted to make with that, the properties. Oh, and I live down off of Crescent Ave, and we had some problem properties on Crescent Ave, and the neighbors around the properties were the most effective with getting to the landlords. What we did was we set up a phone tree, and we called and harassed them and said, "Yep, problems going on your property. Would you take care of? Would you listen to this in Framingham? Would you put up with this in Newton or Wellesley?" They wouldn't. Any questions that we need?
Plan to keep the streets and lots around?
Well, I'm not a big fan of the street sweepers and the towing people when they're on. And I think that's hurting people. I would personally like to. We have Joanne Sullivan on Dorchester Ave. I'd like to clone her and make 200 of them. That's unrealistic. What I would like to do is try and, you know, expand public facilities, not public facilities, public works, their workforce, and try and instill in them how important their job is. I think people get in the city and they just feel stale after a while. We as politicians and people that work in campaigns, we certainly know how to canvass areas and knock doors. Why can't we do that precinct by precinct with the people in public works? So we can, okay, we're gonna clean 15-4 tomorrow. We'll do that tomorrow. There's 8 of us or 10 of us. Then we do 15-5, and then that's how you handle every ward, every precinct. I would like to expand public facilities and have people from the neighborhood. Joanne is from our neighborhood, so she does a great job. Everybody knows her. The community packages. Well, I think a big job of the city councilor is to make sure that the residents are okay with the development that happens in their backyard. It needs to work for everybody, and I'm not someone that would want to see, you know, a high-rise go out behind my house and have no say in it. That would never happen under my watch. I think as far as community packages are concerned, it depends on how big the project is. I think specifically, as a community, and I'll say this to my fellow contestants, that UMass is, whoever becomes the councilor needs to be out at UMass and needs to have a liaison out at UMass to make sure that Dorchester is taken care of, not only with jobs, but also to make sure that Dorchester kids and Dorchester mothers and fathers have access to UMass, their graduate programs, their undergraduate programs, and that's what I think, specifically a community package, UMass would be the one I would like to see.
You see families that have invested up to 10, maybe 15 years into their homes. That, coupled with the economic environment, just leads to the devastating circumstances. I would like to see lenders become more pliable in the interest of restructuring their loans, because invariably, if that person loses that home, the home ends up being short sales for a price that homeowner probably could have afforded. So if we can work with these lenders to get to a place that actually can stop some of these foreclosures and allow families to remain in their homes. But a big part of this would have been preventative maintenance, in the sense of educating these buyers